Hi, today I'll be talking about requirement number 5, where you protect all systems against malware and regularly update antivirus software or programs. Now, all PCs need to be protected. Or deploy antivirus 5.1, deploy antivirus software on all systems commonly affected by malicious software, particularly personal computers and servers. What this means is that all PCs that people have access to need to be protected. Customers, employees, managers, all stuff. Zero-day attacks are attacks that are just created and have no defense against them yet because it is not known yet. That's why they call them zero-day attacks, because they're unknown. They have not existed yet, and someone just created it. So if you hear that term, that's what that means. Ensure that antivirus programs are capable of detecting, removing, and protecting against all known types of malicious software. Most antivirus programs can do this by default. You just pay a monthly fee and it does all that for you. Some will protect your PC from being affected before it gets to your computer. So if, let's say, your internet and it acts like a little firewall. It acts like a firewall, so people who are trying to get into your system from the internet can't get to it. Now, once the virus, if it does end up getting on your computer, they say someone opened up an email, for example. That's why you don't click the links, every link in the email. The If you do get a virus that bypassed it, Trojan horse way or email or whatnot, there it does not. Some antiviruses, if unless you paid for it, will not scan your systems actively. It'll protect you like a firewall from the internet actively, but not scan your systems. That's a different category of antivirus programs, and they want to charge more for that. So you pay the higher premium to do both. If a virus just gets through, I already said all that. Okay, next. For systems considered to be not commonly affected by malicious software, perform periodic evaluations to identify and evaluate evolving malware threats in order to confirm whether each system continue not to require antivirus software. Some systems use Linux environment to host their servers and stuff like that because it's more secure. The only reason why it's more secure is because, let's say, a handful of people, 10,000 people have Linux, right? But millions has Windows. So that's why Windows is more vulnerable, because there's a bigger attack surface. More people have Windows, so why would a hacker spend their time learning how to hack Linux, because it's created differently than Windows, when there's a bigger attack surface with Windows? An attack surface just means how big is the table on what you can lay your stuff on. The smaller the table, the less stuff you have to put on the table, right? So think of it that way. But it's not going to be secure for 100%. So there are some attackers that'll learn how to attack Linux system. It probably won't be your average hacker Joe. It'll probably be more of a hacker organization that says, "Oh, your company preaches something or believes in something that we don't believe in or practice, so we're going to hack your organization to punish you." People are like that for some reason. An Apple employee. Oh, when I learned about apples, I was like, I asked an Apple employee who says he's a um, expert, like he knows apples in and out. He says they use the sandbox effect, and I was like, "What do you mean by sandbox effect?" He says, "Sandbox effect is when you have an application that's contained. It's like in its own little container. Let's say Microsoft Word. It's in its own little container. Then Microsoft PowerPoint is it's in its own container, and then let's say program XYZ is on its own little container. So if one little container, if a virus, and it's constantly moving in a sandbox, like it might be over here, then they might be over there, and then over there, and I'm like, okay. And then I just kind of walked off because I was like, that makes no sense to me, but okay. What? A system that's actively moving your programs around on your hard drive? And he goes, yeah. And I was like, okay, I don't think that's true, but I don't know that. I don't know apples that well, but who knows? I thought that was a funny thing to, a little tidbit to bring up there. Now, ensure that all antivirus mechanisms are maintained as follows: are kept current, perform periodic scans, generate audit logs which are retained per requirement 10.7. We haven't gotten that far yet, but apparently we have to know 10.7. the Now, the main reason to keep your antivirus up to date is due to them having a database. So you have a database of known vulnerabilities. Every virus program kind of uses this, and it looks at your computer, or it looks at the traffic that's trying to get into your computer. It compares it what's in the database. Once it compares it in the database, if it's not listed in the database, it lets it through. Well, you just let this door hacker 246 through because it wasn't part of the database, and now you have hacker 246 on your computer hacking away. So that by updating them and keeping them current, that database keeps growing over time. You don't have to make sure it's has the software manufacturer of the program will keep it up to date. So I don't know if there's a version we have to look for or whatnot. I don't know yet. I haven't learned that in this program. I'm probably guessing not, but there we go. There's that. Ensure that antivirus mechanisms are actively running and cannot be disabled by alternate users unless specified by authorized management on a case-by-case basis for a limited period of time. Antivirus programs set by the IT department that goes to their employees should not be able to be turned off. So as an employee, let's say they're trying to install software and this antivirus pops up and says, oh, you can't install it. Well, mostly that would be the AUC. What that is the Windows admin user account that blocks. That's what AUC stands for, is admin user credentials. It'll pop up and be like, hey, enter your credentials, and you're like, I don't know what it is. And so, but antivirus program is, sometimes when you're doing patches as well. As for people installing software, I guess the AUC will take care of most of that, but there might be some software that they're able to install that's can't be blocked. Who knows? But let's say they install it, and then the antivirus scans and says, oh, look, there's something wrong with this software. Patches are the same way as well. Some patches are flagged as because they're only partial code. Partial code ends up being flagged by antivirus programs because they're not full code. So if you're only getting partial information about something, would you trust it? Or would you trust somebody who gives you the full explanation of what's going on? That's kind of how that goes. And for the some patches that needs to go through, especially with older software systems, I was boggled when I was worked for some companies that said they have this old software system that has been outdated for like 20 years, but they still use it, and I'm like, why are you still using it if it has these, if it's so old with so many patches? Because they have to open up some ports and stuff like that. And their answer to me was the team that they outsourced to reprogram it was no longer in business. And I said, okay, and you're still keeping it because and they're like, well, it's too expensive. It comes on the money. But now I'm like, now I can be like, well, that's true. But would you rather do that, or would you rather pay a fine of hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of dollars? So some software is outdated. Okay, I already did all that. And thank you for watching. Hopefully this was awesome. I dumbed down the video to from ultra high to just high. Maybe that'll help. All right. Thanks a lot.